Hi, my name is Fraser Kubel, and this is my spoken reflection for AT3 routines and behaviors for impactful pedagogies. So I completed my placement at a primary school in the foundation year level, the reflection on the delivery of my lessons was I thought they were engaging. This was because students were engaged when they were on the floor. They had their eyes on me. Um, they weren't getting overly distracted by what was going on around them, and they were also completing their worksheets and other activities that I was giving them to do during these lessons. I also believe the delivery of my lessons helped get the students a higher success rate. This was shown through the students completing the learning goal that I had set them at the beginning of the lesson. I also feel like I managed behaviors quite well. This was like maybe on the floor, like if students were distracting each other, I was quickly to stop and redirect their attention back to me. Also, when they were at their tables, I feel like I was able to redirect their attention back to the work before it got out of hand. The teaching technique that I used in my lessons was the use of whiteboards for checking for understanding. Um, I had an easier time using it because the school I was at followed the explicit direct instruction model. So it made it quite easy for me to be doing my daily review, or before the daily review started, if I said, go and get your whiteboards, the students were able to follow a routine. They'd go get their whiteboards, their markers, and their rubbers or their erasers, and they'd be back on the floor in about 10 seconds. So it was really good to see the students have that routine, which also helped delivery of my lessons and made the lessons flow quite smoothly. Some improvements I've made in checking for understanding was by using iPads was using Tapple. So I was able to teach or would go through a question and I'd pick, the students would sort of talk to each other and then I would pick out a non-volunteer, listen to them and then try and give out feedback that would help the students that hadn't got it right to redirect or correct themselves. Um, and before tricky questions, another improvement that I made to the use of whiteboards was the use of pair shares. So if I knew there was a tricky question up, um, I would read it, have the students talk to one another to sort of make it easier for the students who are a bit unsure. So they were able to collaborate with each other to sort of guide them on the right way into getting the correct answers. So this is how has these placement changed my thought process. It was really refreshing and good to see the explicit direct instruction model in practice in a primary school. The students that I was with in prep had such a routine like a routine laid down, that I tried to just follow that routine that that teacher had set. And the students were really good in following that routine. This has changed my thoughts as I become a developing teacher. As when I eventually want to get a job as a teacher, I would like to work at a school that also follows the explicit direct instruction model. I feel like it made these lessons more engaging for the students throughout the whole classroom, and also managed tricky behaviors. We had a couple of tricky students in our classroom, but they always seemed to be doing something that was engaging to them so that they didn't get off task or they didn't get bored and they didn't go to a different level in terms of their behavior. And the plans for, or the next goals for my teaching practice, um, I kind of struggled with giving feedback on the floor. If a student or another student or a couple students got it wrong, I found it hard to correct them without singling them out and making them feel like they were the only one that got it wrong. So that's something that I feel like I could improve on in the future. Another thing I feel like I could improve on is my time management. Um, I feel like some parts of my lesson I had to rush to squeeze it all in, and other parts of my lessons I sort of had to stretch it out to get to make sure the content wasn't getting dull or boring for the students. But overall, I really enjoyed my time on placement. It was really good to see a school, or to go to a placement at a school that followed the explicit direct instruction model. I was very lucky with that. And it was really good to see that when you have a class with prep, which I was initially a bit worried about teaching, once you have that routine foundation set, um, they can be like students older than them, and they can have that routine and follow and be engaged with their lessons. And that school had a high success rate for their prep. So it was really good to see. Thank you for listening to my spoken reflection.